Today we're going to be talking about an extremely challenging but highly effective hamstring exercise called the Nordic Curl. All right, so the Nordic Curl is a hamstring focused exercise, and it's a great hamstring exercise because it's going to put a lot of resistance on your hamstrings, and you're not going to need any specialized equipment or machines to do it. All you really need is your body weight. Also going to be a great hamstring exercise because it forces you to really slow this rep down and control it, which is going to equate to a lot of time under tension, which is excellent for building strength as well as muscle mass in your hamstrings. Let's jump into these Nordic curls. What you're going to need to do these is something to hook your ankles on so that you can provide a reactive force so that your ankles basically can stay put during this exercise. I'm using a short barbell with a couple 100 pounds of weight, and then I have some dumbbells out in front just to keep this thing from moving around. And then I have a barbell pad on here to hook my ankles underneath. And then I also have a nice thick balance pad just to take the stress off your knees, but you can use anything. You can use a yoga mat, you can use whatever you got laying around to put some cushion on. You can even use a pillow or something, right? But ultimately, you're gonna get down into position here, and you're gonna hook your ankles under whatever you have to hook your ankles underneath of. You can have, you know, like I've seen guys with like a 2x4 screwed to their deck posts, or a chair with a bunch of weight on it, just as long as you can hook your ankles underneath and that thing is not going to move, because what we're going to be doing with this exercise is pivoting out and then pivoting back. So you need some reaction force here. All right, so I'm going to show you kind of the typical form that people might be using to do this exercise. Usually it's just a body weight exercise, but it's super difficult. Like you have a large amount of mass, especially if you're a top heavy person like me. The taller you are, the more difficult this is gonna get because that mass is gonna be further and further away from your pivot point. So basically, a lot of people will kind of line up in this exercise and they can kind of stretch this out, and then they lose strength and they just fall to the ground, and then they kind of push themselves back up and keep going. And that's not the greatest way to do this exercise, because a lot of it is just you're using your momentum to let you kind of go down into this exercise, and then you're throwing yourself, you know, 3/4 of the way up. So really the only active range that you're getting is like, you know, a few degrees of pivoting. So and also you'll see that people will start to hunch forward a lot, and then that disengages those hamstrings because your body is trying to find a biomechanically efficient position to be able to get back into this, you know, comfortable area. Because once you're out here, this is where it gets really, really difficult, and people start to bend over, and that takes stress off the hamstrings. So what I want to do is show you a better way to progress in this exercise and really, you know, engage those hamstrings. And we're going to do that using a 41-inch resistance band with a high anchor point. All right, so I got a 41-inch band hooked up to a high anchor point, and what we're going to do is we're going to use this band tension to help hold up and support our body weight. And what's awesome about these bands is that the further we stretch them, the more resistance that they're going to put out. So the further we pivot down, the more support that we're going to get, which is like excellent for the biomechanics of this exercise, because when you're pivoted way out, that is when it's in a very difficult position where you need some more help. And then as you're pivoting back up, this band is going to get lighter and lighter so that your muscles can engage more and work more. And we're going to be able to increase that time under tension and keep those hamstrings engaged throughout the entire exercise, no matter what your body weight or strength level is. So I have a purple 1.1 inch wide band. I'm about 225 pounds. And how to set this up: you have your high anchor point, you get into your Nordic curl position, got your ankles nice and secured, and then we're gonna grab our band and kind of pull this thing down to our neck. And you don't wanna have your elbows out in front of you, and I'll show you why in a minute. You kinda wanna keep them off to your side. And then to get started in this exercise, don't just go face first and face plant yourself into the ground. Like you're gonna set yourself up for failure. Just start by kind of easing into it. And what you want to make sure you're doing here is engaging your core tight and then squeezing those glutes to extend those hips. That's going to put the maximum amount of stress on your hamstrings, and you're going to fully engage those bad boys. So as we go, you know, you can see I'm kind of just resting here. So this band is providing a decent amount of resistance, but kind of as I push myself forward, letting it go down, I start to feel it get more and more tension. And that's when you should stop yourself and pull yourself back up. And then as you're getting the feel for these, you can kind of go down slower, keeping those hips driven forward. Nice and slow, pause at the bottom. Exhale, big squeeze, squeezing those glutes, squeezing those hamstrings all the way back up. And notice how I slowed this rep way, way down. It's taken me 3, 4, 5 seconds to get to the bottom here. Big squeeze on the way back up. And boy, those hamstrings are fired up. And don't sit back when you get up there. Keep them things engaged. So you want to kind of stay out front, keeping those glutes engaged, hips driven forward, and just pound out the reps here. It's all about control. A few seconds down, a little pause at the bottom, and then squeeze yourself back up. Wow. So now I'm probably only going to be able to get like maybe 6 to 10 reps with that, and that's what you want to be doing. It's all about that time under tension and keeping it under control. All right, so that is the basics and the form and technique of how to perform these Nordic curls using resistance bands. Now, to kind of build your program structure and implement these into your exercises, I would say you want to keep kind of that target, 10 to 15 reps, and even less than that. Sometimes you can go, 5 to 8 reps. And what you want to do is set the resistance up with a band so that you can fail at those rep ranges. Maybe your first couple sets are like that 10 to 15 rep range, but then your last 2 like working sets, you want to drop this band tension down so that you're putting more emphasis, more power into those hamstrings, and you can only get, half the reps, 5 to 8 reps or something like that. And it's just like when you use bands to help you with your pull-ups. The smaller the band is, the less resistance or assistance that it's going to provide. So the smaller band is going to yield less assistance, therefore you're going to be able to do less reps. And I guess the goal over time with this would be to get down to that smallest band or no band at all, so that you can be doing these Nordic curls at peak physical performance where you can do your body weight for at least a couple of reps. So that is how to do Nordic curls using resistance bands to really give you full control over these curls and get you the maximum amount of hamstring engagement and muscle growth. And if you need any bands at all, be sure to visit clenchfitness.com. If you like this content, be sure to smash that like button, ask any questions or comments, anything that you liked about the video, disliked about the video, throw it down in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.